Okay, so the next one we're going to do is this one, and for this one I went for the deck the halls, and your crumb cake base. So I'm going to just fold that, and then in your packet you'll also have got a crumb cake piece. So you'll have received a piece of burlap, one of these crumb cake mats, layers. Okay. You'll also have received a scalloped white whisper white circle, a red and a green piece of the designer series paper, and you'll have received either some tiny ones of these or a long strip, depending on what I put in your packet, to do your stamping on, your extra stamping on. So we'll move the burlap out of the way for a moment. So what we're doing at the minute is we're going to do this backing piece. So, okay, so we're going to move these away so we don't get ink on those, and the base, because we don't need to have ink on that. And this is the piece that we're working on. And what you're going to do is I got this one from Brian King. I saw something that he'd done online and thought, oh, I like that, and I could do that for one of my cards, and we could change it up a bit. So I'm just trying to work out where that's best placed for the camera. So I'm going to put that over there. So what you're basically doing is you're going to make sure you've got your deck the halls up the right way. And we're then going to deck the halls all the way down the base of the card. So we're going to start at the top corner with a jaunty angle like that. And then we're just going to come down and fill in the pieces underneath. So I leave that gap there, don't worry about that. You're more interested in getting your words on. Okay. Make sure that your words are straight. I'm sticking my head near the camera, so I apologise if I'm suddenly louder. But I just want to make sure that I'm getting the words on. Okay, and that you can still see what I'm doing. So you don't need to be absolutely straight, but it's kind of helpful if you're close enough. Okay. Then go back in and fill if you think you can get some more words in there. Oops, a bit crooked. But if you don't think, or you don't want to do that and get the words in there, then you can go back and you can fill in with this this piece here, and this has got like little stars and bits of I guess kind of snow on it really. So I just filled those in like this. It's little triangles, and it's just nice. It's like mini baubles, and I filled those in all across the edges like this. And you know, it doesn't matter if there's slight differences and stuff, because most of it's going to be hidden by your banners. That piece here might not be hidden, so I'm going to just pop a couple in there. This one will be hidden, but I'm just going to stamp so you can see what I'm doing anyway. Okay, so that's the base and the backing. So it's not too difficult. If you don't like it, you think, oh, I've missed a bit, or it didn't come out quite correctly, or there's something you don't like, you can turn it over and do it on the other side, because you've got 2 attempts on every card. So yeah, so that was the back piece. And then for the front, you need your trusty triple banner punch. And you're going to, I've cut these pieces for you 2 different lengths, so that when you pop them in the banner punch, they will automatically come out at a different height, if you see what I mean. So they should, yeah, make sure they go all the way through. Chop. I always like to make sure, because just occasionally it catches at the top up here, and then it's not all the way through and you haven't got a nice edge to it. So just make sure that it's all the way through when you punch. If you don't have the triple banner punch at home, then all you need to do is take your scissors, cut up the middle first, and then bring in from the sides. You might not have quite so much of a gap because the banner punch does take off just a little bit of this edge, in which case you can just trim it from the top. But it's not a hardship if you don't have the banner. It's just nice if you do. So these are going to go on here like that. So again, with the fast views. Whoops, oh, I didn't do any click. There we go. If you don't do your click, you get stickiness coming in here, so just clear it with your finger and then it won't get frustrating. Okay, so then we're just going to pop that down. I like to use my grid paper to line up with, as most of you know. Yeah, I'm sorry that the light's a bit yellow today. It's a grey day here, so I've had to put all my lights on, including the overhead light, which is one of those light saving, energy saving, whatever it is. But that's not the greatest. It's not the greatest light for doing camera work on. But never mind, we will get there. Okay, and then this one I just moved over a smidge like that. Make sure it's on the edge. Make sure it's straight. There we go, and down. Okay, so it's not particularly straight, Pip, but it'll do. So now it's only got to have it's just got to have that on it, so that's okay. So now we're going to do this, which is the wreath piece. So that now we're forming this wreath. And this is actually really easy. It just uses the, where are they? The leaves and the flower, poinsettia flower. You could make it with holly, but then you'd have to somehow daub in or use your right marker to get your little holly berries red and your leaves green. And I thought, since we're all making 15 of these, that's a little bit fussy for me. So I thought, no, we'll go with this. So some smaller stamps now. Let's take that one off. Put this one on. Ooh. And I'm going to, for those of you who've got the builder dies that go with this, I think this little pointy bit here is important on the stamp, but we'll come to that in a moment. So the first thing you're going to do, she says, when she can get her block out of her little holder, is we're going to do the actual background wreath. So for that, we need garden green again. So pop our garden green up, and then what I did was I just inked it up and went round my my wreath. I kind of started randomly and then just filled in a bit, you know, because they don't all have to go the same way. They can overlap. Doesn't matter if there's gaps. You might want to get it towards the edge. You can leave spaces so that you can put poinsettias in. I didn't really do much more than that. I did maybe a few more over here. Let's do another gappy one there. You know, and the light and dark and shade works well. And again, it doesn't really matter how you're going along, as long as you leave a hole in the middle. That's the important piece, is to leave that hole in the middle. So you can do more or less flat leaves if you want to, it's up to you, but it doesn't have to be masses. So then with my cherry cobbler, I then went back in, make sure I've got cover, and I popped flowers in the holes. I overlaid flowers as well where I fancied. You know, I might put one over here. It's just up to you really, and build it up. If you want to have some more greenery, you can go back in and do that too. But it doesn't really take very long to do the wreath. It takes a lot less than you think. And then I did my little poinsettias. Now I'm just going to pop that one there for the second and this one up here. You need 3 of these because I did, as we all know, 3 is a better number. So 3 of those to go on the front. Now I'm going to close this up. When you're doing your die work, when you're trying to line these up, because in the builder dies, this one will line up, the other ones won't line up, okay? And I can't remember whether it's up or down, but yeah, it's down. So when you line your stamp up, you see you've got that little pointy piece here, okay? That's how I stamped that. That means that that's the direction that you need to do this, and then it fits perfectly. If you don't know that, you're constantly going around trying to make it fit, and it drives you insane because it doesn't quite fit in every other, it's not symmetrical, so then it drives you nuts. But if you remember where you put your pointy bit, then it lines up perfectly to run through your die. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, so that lines up spot on. However, I don't have my dies, so, and some people didn't order the die set, so that's okay, because all of these things can be fussy cut. You just have to be, you know, just happy to do a little bit of fussy cutting. I'm not going to do masses, but I'm going to show you that it isn't actually not that tricky. So the other thing I would say is when you're doing them and you're putting them through your dies, don't try and do 2 at once like this, because when you line this one up here, okay, see this one's going to have a chunk taken out of it, so you do lose quite a lot of cardstock. It's all right if you did it this way first, so do that one and then do that one, but you will lose a bit of cardstock here because that will go into a white poinsettia. So you know, just be aware of that when you're die cutting, so that you don't inadvertently stamp a load all on one line, and then you lose half of them because the die's big. I like the fact though that it will cut out the poinsettia, because you know, if you don't want to do any fussy cutting, then that works brilliantly. It also does a lot more than just cutting out poinsettias, I have to say, but that's for another thing. See, so there's one done. That didn't take very long, and obviously you would need 3 of those. I'm not going to do the 3, I'm just going to leave it with this for the moment, for the amazement of television. So pop your little wreath back on again. You'd pop your poinsettias on wherever you wanted to, and I did raise these up again with the mini hexagons, because you can see the normal dimensionals would be way too big for that little sucker, but these little mini ones, perfect, right in the middle, splosh. So I may go back, in fact I will go back and do some more in a minute, but let's just pop these on to start with. Now I need to have enough space to leave a I'm going to do my bow down here, I think. So I'll do that one, and that one, and then do my bow down here. That'll work. Now, you've all got a piece of this burlap, and in your bags, it's all attached. It's all in one piece. What I've done is I've just cut up, you see these, see in between here, there's like a mesh. If you just chop up and cut up that, you can cut it up quite easily. You can feel it going through without cutting the actual twine itself. And then what happens is, I've taken the whole of this edge off. What happens there then is that you can actually tease these apart, and it gives you about 9 pieces of burlap. So it's like our linen twine. It's a little bit more furry and fluffy, but it's pretty much the same. And then I just tied one of my bows, and I would not, oops, she says, getting it wrong on camera, straight off. I wouldn't bother trying to get 2 out of 1 piece of this. Yeah, I've given you enough. You've got enough easily for your 5 cards, so just go with it, because when you maneuver it around it gets a bit more fluffy, so you don't want to be doing too much manipulation with it. Chop your ends off, and there's your bow. And I applied that with a glue dot. Love a glue dot. Mini glue dots are a girl's best friend when it comes to crafting, along with my dimensionals. But you just pop it on one side, and because it's fluffy it will take up a lot of that stick, and then I just roll it around the back so it's not too obvious. Pop my bow on. I'm going to move it just there. Pop my bow on like that, and then take my card base, and then this I raised up on dimensionals, of course, the large ones. And this one you can do, I think I probably just did 3 to be fair, and kept them quite sort of central, because there's not a lot of weight on it. Depends if you're going to send it through the post. If you're going to send it through the post, I'd put more dimensionals on, because these are the things that will get squished when it goes through people's letterboxes. So just be aware of that, and then you're going to and just take action accordingly so that you don't squash it too badly when it goes through the post. Pop that on there. Obviously I would still need to do my other poinsettias that I have wussed out of and not done. I will finish those off. Bit of Tombow on the back. Again, it's just a thin line, it's not masses. You don't need a huge amount. It just gives me a little bit of wiggle room. I would use fast fuse normally as well, but I've already put the dimensional topper on, so then that makes it a little bit harder. I don't want to squash that when I do my fast fuse. Okay, so there's that one. I think that would be good. That could go to a man or to a woman, because it's a little less blingy. You know, we haven't got any of that stuff going on. Okay, and then let's get all this cleared away and we'll move on to the final one.